Out here once again on a walk here this morning on a Wednesday. Beautiful morning. Sun is out. What more could you ask for? I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about something different. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about, being in work and choosing your work, especially for my younger viewers. If you're just heading out into the world or in college right now, thinking about what you're going to do for the future, something you might want to keep in mind is that you want to always do a job that provides you not only with a decent income, but a decent amount of status. Unless you're Gandhi or Mother Teresa, it's very hard to get through this world with absolutely no ego or absolutely no status at all. Yesterday we were talking a little bit about status arbitrage, but I'm not really talking about buying stuff to look good here for today. What I'm really talking about is how society is going to treat you based on the job that you choose. See, my mistake is that I chose to do a job that had very low social status and expected decent treatment out of it. I could always say, the boss is an asshole or this or that, but here's the rub. At the end of the day, if you select a job with low social status, that's pretty much how you're going to be treated. So it's almost unfair to expect more. I was a teacher for about 30 years and a teacher of the arts. Talk about the back of the bus. First question is, why would you want to ride on a bus in the first place, let alone underneath it or in the back of it? So what I want you to do today is, if you're one of my younger viewers, think about selecting a profession that provides you with a decent amount of status. Because if you don't, you'll definitely regret it later on in life. 100%. And I really want to be fair here. Teaching, helping people, is a very noble profession, very important profession. But it's not really going to provide you with a whole lot of status. So what I want you to start to think about is selecting a job that's going to give you the treatment that you deserve. See, if you don't think you deserve anything in this world, you're likely to choose unconsciously a profession that's going to reflect that back to you. And then maybe you become an older person that wants more out of this world. Matter of fact, that's most likely what's going to happen. That's what happened in my case. And then in your 50s, you're still going to be treated like an irrelevant child, essentially, by choosing one of those professions. And just because that profession has low social status, once again, that does not mean it's not an important profession. Some of the most important professions have low social status, unfortunately. It's just the way it is. There's nothing you can do about it. So if you can endure that, and you're a good teacher, or you're a good whatever, counselor maybe, you can do a great bit of good to this world, and that has real value, and that is important. But just don't be one of those people online that's complaining that you're not receiving decent treatment, because that's just the way it's going to be, unfortunately. Thing that I find odd right now is that by actually being retired, by actually being off, in my mid-50s, I feel like I actually receive better treatment now as a retiree than somebody that did a low social status profession. Now, I really want you to think about that and let that sink in. And if you're one of my older viewers, and you're close to retirement, if you happen to be doing a low social status position, really what you want to do is get out. You're going to be treated so much better. People are going to be impressed that you can retire early. So what I did when I was a teacher is, I didn't put all my eggs in one basket. What I did was I studied about personal finance, read a lot of great books like Tom Stanley's The Millionaire Next Door, Andrew Hallam, Millionaire Teacher, Collins' Simple Path to Wealth. Lots of books. Lots of great YouTubers even too. People that were podcasters that would talk about finance. That's where I stored part of my ego, at least, just so I could get through it. Oh my God, it was a challenge to be treated essentially, like I said, like an irrelevant child, and be in your 50s. That's going to be a tough pill to swallow. So again, if you're one of my older viewers and you have the means to get out, run those numbers. Talk to that financial advisor, talk to your CPA, your tax guy, whatever you need to do, okay? You're gonna feel so much better. You really are. Again, not a counselor here, but you wanna make sure that you're treating yourself right. And for me, that was leaving the profession. So if you're close, get out if you can. If you're a decade away and you're just starting to dislike your job because of its status, then you're really going to want to get in and read those books like I was mentioning from before, watching things on personal finance. Again, I invest in really boring stuff like low-cost index funds, snooze fest. But whatever you need to do to position yourself to get out and leave, you're going to be treated so much better by society. You might get a little bit of hate for being able to retire early, but man, you're really going to increase your social status, because what it does is it proves to the world that you no longer need to play the game in the first place. And again, what I want you to think about what you're going to do to escape. What books do you need to read? What date are you going to get out at? How are you going to break that down into smaller goals to make sure you're on the correct financial timeline? Unless you really like being treated like an asshole, think about what you're going to do to get out. Especially to my viewers who are doing low status positions, you gotta get out. It's the only way to be treated with respect. And again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, see ya.